Welcome to another edition of Huckins on Film. Tonight's the night Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter comes out, so in preparation, I decided to watch Abraham Lincoln vs. Zombies. The Asylum knockoff. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Asylum knockoff of a film that already sounds like an Asylum flick. This should be good. Yeah, it is. It's really fucking good. I'm as shocked as you, believe me. Just finished watching not too many extras on the DVD. It was a little making of, which was pretty funny because they play everything overly serious. Meanwhile, it's a total joke, especially because one of the crew is wanting to make it to one of the actresses, and it's just kind of following him around and him talking and just being utterly terrible with women. It's light entertainment. It's also, the gag reel has a funny rap about being an Irishman who kills zombies on it. Not a good one, but it's funny. But the extras, whatever. The film itself, though, it's really good. President Lincoln is played by Bill Oberst Jr., and honestly, I kind of hope he's in a straight film about Lincoln one day, because, first of all, the man looks the part. I mean, okay, the good makeup department, sure, but he totally pulls the look off. Not easy to do, because Abe was a unique-looking fella. Let's put it like that. Sorry. But all the sets, the costumes, the weapons, they look very 18th century. No, I'm sorry, 19th century. I always screw that up. Like, the film itself really does look like a 19th century flick. Not like, yeah, they're trying to pass for 19th century, but really it's not working. No. For a low-budget Asylum flick, they do a really good job with the small resources they have. I mean, honestly, the only time the budget really shows itself is the Asylum-grade CGI, which does show up a lot in the movie. You know, all the blood is CGI. Every time a zombie loses a head, it's bad CGI. But it's an Asylum flick. What the hell do you expect? I mean, honestly, if this movie had the money to do everything with practical effects, I'd probably be on the floor right now. It's first of all, it takes one of the goofiest premises I've heard in a while, plays it totally straight, and somehow it doesn't come off campy. I'm not sure how they did this, but the script is pretty solid. The dialogue, it sounds like whoever was writing the dialogue was watching Ken Burns' Civil War for like a month. Because most of the dialogue, it doesn't seem like, oh, yeah, everyone's wearing costumes and the sets look great, but everyone's talking like it's last Thursday. No. And it's fairly authentic 19th century sounding dialogue. I mean, there are a lot of places for them to trip over themselves doing this, and they didn't do it. They actually made a straight up pretty good movie. Look, I can't BS you. I'm surprised. You know, I heard about this one, and I thought, that's probably goofy as hell, but it's $10. You know, I paid full. I bought a Serbian film for $20, and let's not talk about that piece of crap ever again. But yeah, sorry, I'm stumbling over the words a little bit. I honestly don't know what to say. This is a really good movie. one of the better zombie flicks I've seen in a while. Especially out of the recent crop, because, let's face it, the zombies got big, and while I still love them, holy shit has it led to just a slew of fucking terrible movies that need to be buried and forgotten immediately. And then these guys take a premise that's kind of been running into the ground lately, and they throw in Abraham Lincoln, and the result's pure genius. Well, maybe genius is a strong word, but it's a damned entertaining flick. And it's, like I said, I'm still just amazed at how a movie could be this much fun with such a goofy premise, but it's not funny. Like, I should say, it's not like watching The Room funny, where, oh, this is just a hot mess wrapped in a clusterfuck. No, it's a pretty good, straight-up action zombie flick. So, get the chance, I highly recommend Abraham Lincoln vs. Zombies. For those of you who need a little more convincing, I'm going to get into the guts of the movie a bit more. It's going to be a little spoilery. It starts off with Lincoln as a kid having to deal with zombies. Both of his parents are killed by zombies. In fact, he has to take his own dad's head off with a scythe. Which is why to this day he now walks around with a scythe. The blade's folded into the shaft. So, you know, it's not concealed within. It's just the blade's always down, so it's just straight. But, you know, a flick of a wrist, that thing comes out, and he's just a head chopping zombie machine. Anyway, he grows up to be Abe Lincoln. He's the president. And there's a battle where everything went completely sideways. And they've captured, or I should say they've found one of their men, but he's not quite right. And nobody knows what the problem is, except for Honest Abe, because he's dealt with this before. Well, he's going to have one of his guys lead a team of 12 men, try to recapture this fort that they lost, and to try to get rid of the zombies as quickly as possible, because, you know, zombie infection spreads. We've all seen enough of these movies to know how that goes. Well, unfortunately, the Union zombie breaks loose and kills the man who was going to lead the team down south. So, Abe says, okay, you know what, this is a job that needs a pro. None of you guys know what you're dealing with. I do. I'm doing this personally. Of course, they all try to talk him out of it, because you don't want the president personally leading men into battle. It's really not how the commander-in-chief gig works. Anyway, he grabs 12 men, they head down south. What's really funny is the one blatant anachronism is like, okay, we know Abe's known for freeing the slaves, but one member of his team is black. Yeah, there's no fucking way that would happen. But, you know what? If that's the only problem in an asylum flick, I don't know about you, I'm gonna let it slide. Still very noticeable. And also, he's got another man in his troop named John Wilkinson. Yeah, I think you know what that might be an alias for. For the 5 of you out there who don't, read a book. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. Read a book. Trust me on this one. They head down south, and they come to the fort. They manage to batter down the door. There's a few Confederates inside who they get into a gunfight with. And now that the gate to the fort is open, a few of the undead come storming in. Well, they managed to get through that whole thing unscathed. And of course the Confederates are being led by Stonewall Jackson. Yeah, so all of a sudden, it's Lincoln and Stonewall Jackson versus the undead. I'm not liking the undead's chances here. And the dialogue, it's great because they both recognize the zombie threat, but they don't like each other at all. It's very tense between the two. Like, again, I hate to keep hammering this point home, but this is so much better than any Asylum film has the right to be. They're trying to figure out what to do. And there's a house of... Abe and his men, they go out exploring. They find a house of ill repute whose few residents are under fire. One of whom is Abe's lost love, Mary. Well, they managed to get her and a few of her employees out of there. There's also a kid there who had taken refuge during this whole thing. A kid from New York named Ted Roosevelt. Yeah, they went there. Got little fucking Teddy Roosevelt in this movie. And honestly, I totally buy it because really, the way he handles himself in this movie, it would explain why he was such a hard ass in real life. The kid grew up tough. And yes, he does play a significant role in this movie. Because, well, why would you have a young Teddy Roosevelt to not play a big role? And they're all trying to get together to head back to the fort. Well, everyone's got their misgivings. One of the men's wounded, and they've got to drag along this little kid. And you just notice one of those directors said, I can't resist. Lincoln grabs this big old piece of wood, hands it to young Teddy Roosevelt, said, "Son, my advice, walk softly, and carry this here big stick." I can't mock it. Hell, if I was directing it, I'd be like, nah, I gotta do this. Come on. Yeah, you're not gonna get that chance that often. You can't pass that one up. So they managed to get back. And there's more tension between all the sides. And eventually, Agent Wilkinson is left alone. And, he gives the whole speech where you do find out he is John Wilkes Booth. But he's giving it to no one. He's just more or less talking to himself. So it's really bizarre hearing the Bond villain speech to no one in particular. He's just giving it to the audience. On the off chance they don't know who he is. Again, I think it should have just said read a book right there. But I'm just some schmuck who shoots movie reviews on a cell phone, so what the fuck do I know? Anyway, they managed to sort out their tensions enough that it's like, okay, look, you don't like me, I don't like you, Zed is the big threat. We gotta do something about him. So, they're gonna lure the zombies into the fort, into this one part of the fort, where they have quite a bit of gunpowder. And, lure Zed in there, light the fuse, kaboom, zombie infestation done. Well, they do that. They lure all the zombies in the neighborhood. One of the Confederates goes up on and just starts playing Reveille over and over again. The first time I've ever seen Reveille used strategically in a zombie flick starring Abe Lincoln ever. I just said that sentence out loud. I'm a little confused right now. Okay. Stay on target. Managed to get the zombies in. Lincoln lights the fuse. Gets behind the door, blocks the door. The zombies have to go chamber with gunpowder. Well, that Murphy Booth steps on the fuse. Well, Jackson, Lincoln, and the black soldier whose name I don't remember. I'm not even sure if they said it at any point. Well, they realize, oh, that fuse hasn't blown. So Lincoln says, okay, you two get out of here. I got this. And Jackson says, with all due respect, Mr. President, those are Confederate men down there. I got this. He doesn't say, he says it much better than I just did. And Jackson goes down there. He lights the fuse and it blows the fort. Luckily, there's a safety line going from the top of the fort to a nearby tree. And everyone gets out of there. And then Lincoln gives the Gettysburg Address later on. And Bill Oberst, he nails it. Again, great performance. I really do want to see this man play Lincoln in a straight movie about Lincoln. I think he would do a damn fine job. Well, they end up heading back. And 1865, Lincoln goes to visit his doctor from the beginning. And Mary is there, and she had been bitten by one of the zombies during this. Lincoln wants her cured. Well, he ends up getting bitten by Mary. So he just asks for a pen and ink. He scrawls out a note, hands it to a rider. A rider gets on his horse, delivers it to John Wilkes Booth. That's right, Lincoln had himself killed because he knew he was going to turn into a zombie. Okay, honestly, that ending part doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I guess maybe he just wanted to cover the fact that he got bitten by a zombie. Actually, what it was he doesn't want anyone to know about the whole zombie thing because that could cause a panic. And things were fragile enough post-war. Thing like a zombie outbreak, like news of the undead. I guess that's why he did it. So that way it would look like he was assassinated by some recalcitrant Southerners. Although, honestly, that probably... Okay, again, it's an asylum flick. And I can only think of 2 decently sized plot holes in it. That's got to be a record for them. But anyway, yeah, definitely check out Abe Lincoln vs. Zombies. It's a damn good flick. And also, for more on Bill Oberst, the Cinema Snob did an interview with him on his site. I would definitely check it out. He's an interesting cat. Funny guy, too. And like I said, I want to see him play Lincoln straight up because I thought he was fantastic. Anyway, this is a latest installment of Huckins on Film. Have some popcorn. This is Kyle Huckins fucking off.